You've always known your sign. Maybe you're a Leo, proud, fiery, natural-born leader. Or maybe a Pisces, dreamy, sensitive, always floating somewhere between this world and another. Whatever it is, you've felt connected to it. You've seen it in memes and daily horoscopes in your dating life. Maybe even in how you see yourself. But what if I told you, your zodiac sign might not be yours at all? Not symbolically, not emotionally, astronomically. The truth is, the zodiac signs we use today were created over 2,000 years ago. The Babylonians divided the sky into 12 parts, each one 30 degrees, based on where the sun appeared in the sky during the year. They named each slice after a constellation: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and so on. And that system, more or less, is the one we still use. It's called tropical astrology, and it's the basis for almost every horoscope you see today. But the sky we live under now is not the same sky they saw back then. Because Earth isn't fixed. It wobbles, slowly. This movement is called axial precession, and over thousands of years, it's shifted our orientation toward the stars. Today, the constellations are nearly 25 degrees off from where they were when the zodiac system was first created. Translation? The sun isn't in the same place it used to be. So if you were born on, say, July 15th, and you've always thought you were a Cancer, you might actually be a Gemini. That shift affects almost everyone. Even NASA has addressed it. They've said, the sky has shifted, so has your zodiac sign. And it gets weirder. There's a 13th constellation the sun passes through each year. It's real. It's called Ophiuchus, and it sits between Scorpio and Sagittarius. If we were basing astrology purely on the constellations the sun actually travels through, we'd all be using a 13-sign zodiac. But we don't. Why? Because 12 is cleaner, simpler, easier to divide into a calendar. Ophiuchus was deliberately left out, despite being real, because it didn't fit the story. And that's the first big clue. Astrology was never meant to be a perfect mirror of the sky. It's a symbolic language, a human-designed system. Yes, it has astronomical roots, but it was shaped for cultural meaning, not scientific accuracy. Still, that hasn't stopped us from treating it like a map for our personalities, our relationships, even our futures. We read things like, Scorpios are intense, Virgos overthink everything, Capricorns feel cold but secretly care too much. And weirdly, it feels true. But is that because of the stars, or because of us? In 1948, a psychologist named Bertram Forer ran a little experiment. He gave his students a personality test, and then gave them individual analyses of their results. Students were shocked by how accurate the results were. They rated them nearly perfect, but they didn't know that every single one of them had been given the exact same description. Generic, vague, and flattering statements like, you have a lot of untapped potential. You crave the approval of others, but value your independence. You are sometimes insecure, but strive to appear confident. This became known as the Forer effect. Our brain's tendency to accept general statements as uniquely true when we think they're meant for us. Sound familiar? This is how horoscopes work. Not through magic, but through pattern recognition and our deep desire for meaning. So if astrology is out of sync with the stars, and if horoscopes feel accurate, mostly because of psychology, does that mean it's all fake? Not necessarily, because meaning doesn't have to be scientific to be real. Astrology gives people a language to talk about themselves, a system to think through emotions, behavior, conflict, connection. It gives structure to the chaos of being human, but it's still important to know what we're interacting with. When someone says, I'm a Taurus, they're referring to a sign calculated by a system that hasn't been updated to match the real sky in over 2,000 years. They're living by a map that doesn't match the territory anymore. And the deeper question is, why do we still follow that map? Why are we so drawn to it? Maybe it's not about accuracy. Maybe it's about control. In a world that feels unstable, astrology offers a story, a rhythm, a sense of order. You're not a mess. You're just a Pisces. During a rough transit, he didn't ghost you. He's a Sagittarius. You're not indecisive. Mercury is in retrograde. It doesn't fix anything, but it helps make sense of it, and maybe that's enough. But maybe it's also dangerous, because when you believe something defines you, your personality, your love life, your future, you give it power. So now we know, the stars have shifted. Your zodiac sign might not match the sky anymore, and yet, astrology still feels true. Why? Because astrology isn't just about the sky, it's about us. Let's start with something simple. People want to feel understood. We all crave language that helps us explain who we are and why we feel the way we do. Astrology offers that, quickly, easily, symbolically. Instead of unpacking years of emotional baggage, you can say, "Well, I'm a Cancer," and people will instantly nod and go, "Ah, that makes sense." It creates instant identity, instant connection, even instant forgiveness. You're not flaky, you're a Gemini. You're not moody, you're a Scorpio. You're not cold, you're just an emotionally repressed Capricorn. Labels make us feel safe. Astrology hands them to us on a cosmic silver platter. But here's the part no one talks about. Astrology is no longer just a spiritual or personal tool. It's also a digital one, a business. Apps like CoStar, The Pattern, and Sanctuary have turned astrology into a billion-dollar industry. They use your birth data, time, date, location, to build psychological profiles. And then, just like social media platforms, they feed you content based on your emotional patterns. It's personalized, it's aesthetic, it's addictive, and like all things digital, it comes with data tracking, engagement metrics, and sometimes subtle manipulation. Let's be honest. When an app knows your insecurities, your romantic history, your emotional weak points, it doesn't just comfort you, it can sell to you. You're a Libra struggling with boundaries. Here's a meditation course. You're a Virgo who overthinks? Maybe you need a productivity planner. Mercury's retrograde? Better buy this crystal bundle. This isn't to say astrology is inherently bad or that these platforms are evil, but they are using the oldest psychological truth in the book. If people believe something helps them understand themselves, they'll keep coming back. It's the perfect loop. You open the app, it tells you something slightly vague, slightly emotional. You connect with it, you share it, you internalize it, and maybe you even let it steer your day. That's not just spiritual, that's psychological design, but it goes even deeper. In the past, astrology was used by emperors, generals, kings. Some wouldn't make decisions without consulting the stars. Others banned astrology entirely, afraid it gave the people too much hope or too much power. Today, the power has shifted, not to governments, but to algorithms. What used to be a sacred map of the soul is now code, tracking your mood, habits, and romantic choices. Astrology hasn't just entered the 21st century. It's been optimized for it. So here's the real question. When you read your horoscope, who's writing it? A mystic, a machine, a marketing team? And more importantly, why are you reading it? To feel seen, to feel safe, to feel like the chaos of life has meaning? There's nothing wrong with that. We all want those things. But when a system becomes more about comfort than truth, we have to be careful. Because sometimes, the very thing we use to understand ourselves ends up shaping us without us realizing it. So maybe your zodiac sign isn't what you thought. Maybe astrology is built on an outdated map of the sky. Maybe the horoscopes we read are just vague reflections of what we want to believe. But even knowing all that, you still feel something when you read about your sign. Why? Because astrology isn't just about planets or star charts. It's about meaning. And in a world full of chaos, people are desperate for meaning. We want stories that help us understand who we are. We want to believe there's a reason for how we feel. We want to think we're supposed to be the way we are, and astrology gives us that. Not as a science, but as a language. It turns emotion into pattern. It turns confusion into archetype. It turns randomness into rhythm. But here's the catch. When we rely too heavily on any system to define us, even a beautiful one like astrology, we risk losing something essential. Choice. If I tell myself I'm like this because I'm a Leo, I might stop questioning my behavior. If I say we're not compatible because she's a Virgo, I might walk away from something real. If I read a horoscope that says, You'll face conflict today. I might start looking for it, whether it's there or not. Astrology becomes a lens, and sometimes a cage. So the real question isn't, is it real? It's, what are you using it for? Is it helping you reflect? Or helping you avoid responsibility? Is it guiding you inward? Or pulling you further from your own instincts? Because the truth is, you are not your birth time. You are not your rising sign. You are not Mercury in retrograde. You are a thinking, choosing, evolving human being. Astrology can be a mirror, a map, a metaphor, but it shouldn't be a rule book, and it definitely shouldn't be a limit. So the next time you read something about your sign, pause. Don't ask, is this true? Ask, is this useful? If it helps you grow, keep it. If it boxes you in, let it go. Because no matter what's written in the stars, you are the one writing your story. Every day, with or without a horoscope.